What's up, YouTube? My name is Rico. I'm the CEO of SourceFind Asia, and this is my YouTube channel where we talk about
Another
business
one.
in China, manufacturing in China. So if you like this kind of content, check it out.
I notice when I walk outside, I hope this pays off. One day I chose it, one day, someday I hope it. Went in the big labels and saw plaques on walls, but I didn't post it. Didn't want to gas or boast it, that's not one of the things I'm made of. But one day will it pay off? Mum says I got to do music and dad says to not quit my day job. It's a hard one still, it's not fake, the bars are real. Sometimes I can rely on people's advice, I can't rely on pills. I notice now, things keep falling down. When they fall I still build them up. Hard when you don't know how. Something's changed, yeah you know the deal. At the end of the day, I'm over that one still. Over that one. When I play shows I'm sober at none. Not from London, no the accent. Not just talking, loads of action. Is this music or is it acting? One step forward then go backwards. Think it makes me over anxious. Things can change, it's known to happen. I feel like I don't need people's help. And then when I think about it I'm proud.
I mean, the fact that buyers can't even get out this way for a lot of these companies, and I don't know how soon they'll be able to get out this way or into mainland China. So there's definitely options there. It's just trying to find the right people to talk to in these businesses.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even if it's not necessarily a company exactly like Event Fuel, it could be, you know, a small to medium size or medium to large size company that has been sourcing from China, has been going to the fair, the fairs every year, and just can't go right now. And they don't have an office there, right? Because at the end of the,
exactly like my family business.
Yeah,
like a 20-25 million euro company who needs to constantly be developing new products, and the Canton Fair is their main source of that, and not being able to get out. So I think that's where good opportunity could be. It's just marketing in the right way, I think.
Yeah, which is, I mean, kind of what we're doing right now, where we, record a video podcast, which will go out, and you start to put that information up into the universe. Because even, for example, like Mike and I had been talking about this for the past year in terms of changing our strategy of the type of clients that we go towards. And what's happened is I've started to create, little ebooks and just podcasts and video casts about not how to source, but like the beyond the sourcing, right? Like managing your actual productions and managing, your supply chain as a whole.
Yeah.
And then just giving examples of companies where we created a quality management system for them. Or, I mean, now we're talking about, sourcing, production, warehousing. Like we're talking about stuff that's a little bit beyond the beginner stage. So I think that's it. And then the main thing as well is we want to document what we're doing right now, right? We want to document everything. Speaking of documenting what we're doing, I have like hours of recordings from our Zoom calls, not just with you, but with the companies that we're working with last year during the pandemic. So it's like, it's interesting. I want to see what I can do with that. Maybe create a documentary in the future or something.
Yeah. But again, it's like all of this stuff, right? Like these conversations, and even like if anyone hears this that is into kind of the marketing side of things, or promote like how you promote this, right? How the best channels to put this out on, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook ads or whatever it is. It's something that I'm not overly knowledgeable on. Obviously running all the Facebook ads and all that sort of stuff through Earned is something that I've done with Jordan in the past, but for this it's a bit different, right? It's how do you target those companies? And maybe it is LinkedIn, maybe it is you're specifically targeting companies that sell product and are in the kind of 20 to 50 million dollar turnover in the year. Like it's basically, I suppose, putting in the kind of blueprint of what my family business does and searching that on LinkedIn.
Well, I think it's also just like obviously your family business has contacts, Event Fuel probably has contacts as well, and then obviously if we do like a good job for these guys, then I'm pretty sure they would want to start, maybe introducing us to other potential clients, right? But in terms of finding those clients in a more, I guess, marketing way, like we recently started looking at these like industry specific websites where they kind of analyze, let's say, the top 1,000 Amazon sellers, and then they tell you how much they're selling.
Yeah.
And then from there, I mean, they don't give you the contact information, obviously, but I mean, there's ways of finding that out, right? So I think that's another aspect, is like going industry specific, maybe trying to find those websites that aggregate companies like this. And then
I always just find it difficult, like cold calling or cold emailing people.
yeah,
Like in that introduction just makes such a big difference, getting that
sure.
foot in the door, that trust. And I don't know how we do that, like whether that's possibly doing a testimonial video.
Yeah.
And you're speaking and like we said, we'll plan on getting the Event Fuel guys on a podcast, on a sort of 15-20 minute podcast at the end of this project, once everything is complete, and have a chat with them, and get their thoughts on things like this. And like, I mean, the reason they reached out to me is because literally a friend, I actually have to find out who it was, even how all this came about, was someone from back home, and I've been meaning to ask Brian from Fuel who it was, just said, listen, reach out to Alan, because they were looking out here, and maybe he can help you. And that's, I don't know, a friend of mine or someone who saw something on LinkedIn or whatever it was. So it's just word of mouth, and it's that kind of popping in. So yeah, I mean, I've just always found that the best like way to get that trust and get that kind of the communication to start. But yeah, so I think we need to have a sit down with Mike.
I think it's two parts. It's like good marketing where you're providing real value, right? Because for example, like three of our largest clients ever, they found us through like my podcast and a YouTube video. But then what happened was they watched one YouTube video and it's free information, and then they watched other stuff and they listened to the podcast, and I didn't reach out to them, they reached out to me, right? So, and at that stage, like it's almost a formality when you get on the actual sales call, because they've already decided that they want to work with you.
And I think that's a great way. I think, like, I love the fact that you're telling people how to source, right?
Yeah.
And most people just go, well, I don't want to do that myself, so I'll get them to it.
Or it's like exactly what you just said in terms of the marketing side of things. It's like, why would I become a professional digital marketer? You know what I mean? When it's like, I run a manufacturing company. We have to do marketing, of course, but we'd rather work with professionals, right? Than doing
it. You want them to come or have the ideas, and then you add your touches in. But I think the podcast is great. Like, I think we do another one of these once the project is finished. I think we do another one about the catalog we're putting together once we have images of all the samples. I think we do one once we can get Brian and possibly Jamie, his co-founder, on the phone as well, and have a chat with them and just get the story from their perspective. I think that would be cool. And then just push that, and we can sit down and have a chat with Jordan, maybe do a podcast with him about ideas for how to market it. And just try sort of get as many of these out there as possible, get them out to our email networks, and then just go from there onto LinkedIn as well.
The interesting part about this whole situation is, like, similar to last year, we're both not in mainland China right now, but we're still able to kind of operate on almost the same level. Actually, maybe I'll just say on the same level, because I feel like at this stage, Imogen has, she's been working for me for like 4 or 5 years. She's probably been to almost the same amount of factories as I have. So she, her experience in these situations is vital, because a lot of times I'm just asking her, what do you think about this, right? Like, and then we brainstorm a little bit, and then I make the final decision. But a lot of times it's her suggestions that kind of come up right? So that's a big part of it, is like being able to tap into a network that's already established in China and
Yeah.
trusted. Yeah.
I mean, having the your 3 or 4 staff on the ground there,
Yeah.
and Chinese staff as well, it makes a massive difference. Now, like I've got my network of factories that I've dealt with, but finding new factories is very difficult right now. But it makes such a big difference. It also, I mean, it's really shown that I probably don't need to go into China as much as I used to.
I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, and I think that, well, I think that's a business travel thing in general.
Yeah.
But mind you, I still think it's very important in terms of the relationships with the factories. Getting in there definitely for certain mass productions, just showing up and showing your face at these things, I think is important as well, and it shows you're serious and it shows that you care about the product, and that's so. And sometimes you want to keep factories on their toes as well.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to do it for every single one, but I do think it's still valuable. I just don't think probably we'd be going in as much as we used to. And I don't think you're going to move back there anytime soon once they open up.
No, I mean, my original, obviously, I think everybody that follows the YouTube channel or whatever will know, but my original plan was to spend, sort of like half the year here in the Philippines, like half the year here.
Exactly. I don't think you'd get away with that hat in Guangzhou as well.
Yeah, I definitely would. It definitely would. Black dude wearing a hat like this in Guangzhou, I don't think it's happening. I already used to get stares just in general. So, I'll be taking it to another level. Even here, I still get stares in terms of like wearing the hat, right? Because not everybody, like a lot of the expats that live here, they don't dress like this. They just wear like t-shirts and shorts, just like that. But I'm like, hey man, I have to make the most of it. I'm on the island.
Yeah, exactly. Island life. Enjoy it.
Panama hat going. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that I think for everybody who has had to figure out remote work systems and how do you still do the same thing that you were doing before without physically going to China, it's just taught people that we don't have to always go to the Canton Fair or things like you can do that stuff online. I mean, Michael Michelini, not to diverge too much from the main topic, but Michael Michelini, who's a very well-known guy in the China business space, we did a digital event with him where it was like a virtual, I don't know if you've ever done like a virtual casino type thing. That's the best way I can describe it. But it's like you have these different rooms that you go into.
Yeah.
And you play poker or whatever. He did essentially that, but a virtual conference. It's like you had an avatar and you would go from room to room, and like in one room there would be somebody like me talking about sourcing.
Okay.
And another room there'd be somebody talking about marketing. Just like it was pretty cool actually. And then you had like a virtual screen where it's like those the hosts, which was myself and I think 4 other people. And then there was the crowd, so you could see the crowd on the side, and it's like all these small video screens if somebody wants to show their face, and then whoever is talking at the time, which would be one of the hosts, would be the the main focus. It was a really interesting way of having a digital conference, and I started thinking about it as like that is kind of the way of the future, is like people being able to just interact, and even applying that to a Canton Fair or what's the other one that is in Hong Kong most of the time?
The Mega Show or Gifts and Premium.
Gifts and Premium, but it's also around the Canton Fair. They also have a sourcing site. How am I?
Global sources.
Yeah, global sources.
I just think I don't know if you've gone. Have you gone on to the Canton Fair, the online one?
I have not. No.
It's horrendous. Like it's so hard to navigate. It's it was a waste of time. I went on and had a look. It was quite funny because I went on to the guys who make Earn for me.
Yeah.
And it was and it's so hard, right? I mean, first of all, like China's still not great at marketing and PR, and factories are even further back than the guys who are brilliant at it in China, right?
Yeah.
And when you're trying to sell clothing to someone through a video, it's very difficult. Like they're standing there with t-shirts going, oh, this feels lovely and this is lovely material. and it's like, but what do you do? Like I just think
is it kind of like QVC? Like
yeah, exactly. It was like a really shit QVC. But and I actually, like, because I was talking to the owner and I just gave them some feedback. They were trying to sell too hard. It was a real over the top selling, but they don't know how to do it, right? First time ever. So I just think with the Canton Fair, I think that will come back. Like I think the minute they open, I think it's going to be the biggest Canton Fair you'll ever see, because you have to be there to touch and feel a lot of this product. You have to be there to have this conversation with these factory owners or with the people at the show, going for a beer after, going for a meal after. I think it's so important, and you don't get that online. I think possibly with this whole meta universe, that sort of thing, you will eventually get there where it's so realistic. But I just put a huge amount of value on relationships and having a beer with someone face to face, then having a Zoom call. It's just way more personal, and you just don't get that from an online event. I think what they've done in terms of, in general, with events pivoting to this online forum and doing it all, I think it's been brilliant. But I think a lot of these things, once you get back in person and people can freely travel around the world, and all the costs start coming down a bit, I think that will come back massively.
I don't disagree, because I think people also miss just events in general. Like they miss physically going to places. But I think what will most likely happen is there'll be a split between the two. It'll be like you have the Canton Fair online, which is cheaper, and then the one that they do face to face. And then I think maybe even for the suppliers, the ones that have products that you don't necessarily need to touch, like sort of electronics and things like that, where they can just do a live demonstration of a drone flying. They could do that online, and then maybe the fabrics would have to be, textiles or whatever would have to be like an in-person thing.
No, there would definitely be some things. I mean, Adidas spent $250 million on travel, business travel, the year before COVID hit.
Yeah.
I was talking to a girl she's now the head buyer here for Lidl. And they have like 300 staff here in Hong Kong, maybe even more, actually 600 staff, I think. And she said she had to go to Germany once every 3 weeks from Hong Kong. And now they're just like we can just do it all. Like maybe she'll go once every 6 months.
Yeah.
But before, it was just like, I'll just come here, like travel. And like when you're going to Germany, if you're traveling once every 3 weeks to Germany from Hong Kong, like it's not fun. I mean, like people don't want to do it. It gets old very quickly.
Yeah.
Like I was with someone recently who was telling me that their husband worked for Credit Suisse years ago here in Hong Kong, and he was flying to New York every weekend.
Oh my God.
He was commuting.
I thought the year before COVID, I calculated how many flights I was on. I was on about 50 flights, so I was on a flight a week on average.
Yeah.
But that was just mainly within China. Like obviously I went to different countries outside of China, but like it was mainly within China.
Yeah.
So we were talking about 2-hour flights here and there. And then sometimes it was like maybe a week where I took like 3-4 flights in 1 week. So that's why that started to add up. But yeah, I can't imagine having to jump on a 16-hour flight every week. And then have to come back. So
you wouldn't know what jet lag is, right? You'd be so out of it. But this guy was Cathay's most frequent flyer.
Oh my God. I hope you got some major benefits from that.
I mean, yeah, listen, you'd be flying first class and all of that sort of stuff, but still, I don't think it's worth it. Flying to New York for 4 or 5 days work and then
so I mean, that's another aspect of what we're talking about, is like you can go back to the traditional methods and spend, I mean, not every company's Adidas, but spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year on travel, or you can outsource to a company that can sort of handle everything for you. And maybe you still go once in a while, but you just don't go as frequently as you used to, right? Like, Yeah, and save a bunch of money in that aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was kind of saying before, we nearly need to look at this as we're evolving the sourcing office, the standard sourcing office that people used to have. Like we're adding much more benefits and completing the whole circle, that it's a one-stop shop.
Yep. Yeah, man. I think it's interesting to see where this is going to go. I mean, this is a good case study, and this is documented and sort of finish out the project. I'd love to have that little sort of podcast with the owner or one of the owners, get his feedback on everything and what they thought about it before we started working and after we finished the project.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. So I think we can wrap it up, right?
Cool.
Any last points you wanted to make before we kind of close up?
No, I don't think at this stage, right? We just let's get you've made all the payments for everything now, right?
Well, yeah, but there's still one more payment that has to be made that's going to go through tomorrow. That was the issue that I was talking about. I have to do after this call. I might be able to make it right now, according to what they said, but it's just that basically there's a limit on the amount of money I can transfer to this particular bank account. And then I asked them, do they have an alternative one? Because I know they do in Hong Kong. So I was like, okay, I can split the payments between the two accounts. If their second account is not functional, then I'll just transfer the rest tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't really affect anything. It's just frustrating.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's pretty much everything then. We're just waiting on those couple of VIP printing assets. That Imogen's on top of. Everything else is finished, box tomorrow, and then get everything ready for the packing.
Yeah, so the transfer that I was sending was the gift box, the sunrise clock, and there was some travel expenses from Imogen, and then there was also the assembly stuff. So yeah. Cool. So and then I guess the next steps after that would be to get a quote on shipping to Europe. Shipping to Ireland. Yeah,
probably try get that at the end of this week.
Yeah. Well, I think the payments thing just fucking took like the past 2 days has just been like, that's been the main focus. And of course we still have other projects as well. So it's like, it's been a little bit tough and frustrating, but yeah, after the payments are done, we can switch focus onto the assembly. And I think we're gonna do QC at the assembly, and then shipping.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right.
All right, man.
I'm gonna sign off. So, thank you guys for watching the video cast. If you want to reach out to Alan, where can they find you?
On LinkedIn or at newlandsourcing.com.
Right, and as usual, if you want to reach out to us, sourcefinasia.com, Made in China podcast, and Sourcefinasia on YouTube. And I'll see you guys next time.
Cool. Cheers, Rico.
Cheers.
I've come too far to turn back, so win or win is my only choice. I release songs they think it's for them, it's a cry for help, but they miss the point. What's mad is when I speak for them, I feel like I lose my voice. Yeah. But I can't linger or dwell on things. Yesterday's God, it's been better since. Still outside and I'm settled in. Still more scared than I ever been. Still feel blessed like I never sinned.